Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Shooting the Shift. We were gone for a bit. We've had a little move around of the screen, so that's Milton.
Hello.
That's Matt.
Hello.
That's Bryn. We are, in fact, all back. Bryn has relocated. I've relocated to a different room in the house.
I've painted my walls.
Matt's redecorated. And Milton is still
Human.
blurring out his family in the background.
Just human. It's just mess. You can't actually see carpet right now.
So I want to open up by kind of apologising for the false start that was season 2. There was some fairly significant changes in my life at the beginning of the year. That have
You discover your penis.
Well, no. And actually, a really important thing is I just want to thank these guys for being there and being super supportive over what turned out to be 10 months of really stressful shit trying to get a house into my own name. But I am back. I am feeling better. I've got a therapist, like a real boy. And it's all going to be good. And we might go over that if we do a mental health episode this season. Moving on to the future and better things that are to come. We already have signed up for guests in season 3. Mac from BDC and John from Formula G. So we're getting some more race series owner boys. We're getting actual real, like, moderately famous people what know some stuff about motorsport, not just our childish opinions.
Yep.
And we've got a new segment. It's called Matt Does the News.
News.
News. So.
No, that's the cinema thing. The news one. It sounds like that, but it's the news.
That's not the news at all.
I knew exactly what he was on about.
Anyway, now, very quickly, turn it over to Matt for the news. What's going on, Matt?
Well, Ford, in their infinite wisdom, are basically discontinuing the Fiesta. I kind of dropped that one.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So
Punchline.
Fiesta are discontinuing the Ford. That's the real news.
Yeah, that's the one.
Imagine that as a front page headline. Exactly what you just said.
It must be written by the Sun.
So,
oh no, they're going to be angry with us now. We're not going to get a feature on the Sun.
This does have its advantage, right? Bear with me on this, boys. It means that no longer are we going to have car park meets full of Fiesta STs.
No, they're just going to be Golfs and Polos and BMW 1 Series. It's all unfinanced.
There's more to this than meets the eye, though, because
they're going to rebrand everything as the Mustang.
Oh, God.
It wouldn't surprise me. My point is, though, they've recently announced they're discontinuing the Focus, and then a few years ago they discontinued the Mondeo. They're getting to a point where they're only going to sell SUVs.
Oh my God, car park meets are going to be full of Cougar STs. And Cougar spelt wrong because they already did a Cougar and they spelled it right the first time and they stopped for the new stupid one.
So, another important thing for all of you, you may have noticed there's some pent-up aggression in the room, and that's because we haven't been doing this for 10 months.
Bryn's not had an outlet for 10 months.
My new hairstyle. Ford, I want to see your manager.
All right, Karen, calm down. So every day, me and Bryn wake up and choose violence. So we've been actually we've been up to some really cool stuff over the last 10 months. Other than me just getting to be a general boring adult for a bit and having to deal with some marginal tapped in the head moments, I think we'll call them. We had quite possibly one of the most fun weekends in violent running history, right? For all the most stressful reasons. So, I get some message from Milton about 2 weeks before BDC at Three Sisters that says, "Bam, we going."
Well, it was, we might have a chance of going. I want to get the ball rolling now. Most people is like a few months ahead. I'd been given 2 weeks and it was can we make this work?
So our boy here gets the wild card, and quite frankly, right, my little brain goes, "Ooh, marketing." So his little brain fills out the form VRS in brackets violent running.
I put Violent Running Syndicate in brackets, so just in case they didn't know what it was.
So what they did was just read out VRS on the announcement.
Future Ryan Fix.
Future
Fixer.
Ryan Fix. Okay. We have in fact been sponsoring Formula G this entire season, by the way. We've just been really crap at publicising it this year. So yeah, we've been rubbish at the marketing this year, Milton included. So 2 weeks before the event, I get this message and he goes, "What can we do?" And my response is, maybe something. Cue a stressful 2 weeks in which I go, I've got to get us an Airbnb sorted, which we did. We did get sorted. And we did.
That worked out. That was really nice.
The Airbnb was good, yeah. And I think that's all I took responsibility. And food. I took responsibility for a bit of food as well.
You
Just stage managed
Matt,
a lot of shit.
you, Matt, and the ladies just made sure I was fed and watered and de-stressed.
Yes.
Did you give him back rubs before every
We
session?
kept him in the fight when his little brain went, "No, this is over." That was our actual job over that.
Are we
time.
going through the full story now, or another next episode?
No. This is what we've done this year, and this was a really, really big thing. That actually, at the end of the day, don't think there's a single person on this podcast that's not proud as fuck of you, Milton.
I did all right.
And
I did my best.
I'm gonna let us be demonetized by that. That's how proud of you are. I'm not gonna bleep that one out.
I've already said penis, so it's fine.
That's not a naughty word. That's an anatomical thing that you're allowed to say. Because it'd be ridiculous if people demonetize you for saying biology words like. No, now I'm beeping that out.
Oh, well done. Back on thing. So we did BDC. At this point, though, I didn't know if my car was ready 100%. And I arrived Thursday.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, did a little bit, and then from Thursday 8 a.m. till Friday 8 a.m. till Saturday 9 o'clock. I didn't go to bed, and neither did the rest of the Firefly team. So without them, I wouldn't have been there.
So we get to the racetrack ahead of Milton and start having a rummage about, figure out things, say hello to Mac, obviously. The car backs in with maybe 5 minutes to spare.
Yep, I think the paint was still drying on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Air dried at speed, like it's gone through a blower.
Yeah.
So we were that early compared to the car in Milton. I was in the driver's briefing.
Yeah.
I made it a briefing with about 10 minutes spare, but I turned up.
You got the last bit.
Yeah.
So the original plan was nut and bolts check trackside in the morning, and then out for quali. No, practice.
Practice
Yeah.
Practice first.
So Milton, as Milton and everybody knows, we didn't get a lot of time, and we didn't do a bolt check.
That wouldn't have made any difference to the outcomes of things.
I don't think that would have made much of a difference to the outcomes of the day either.
No, so
I'm now going to let Milton tell the story from the point that he's arrived at 3.
So I had about 2 to 3 hours on a sofa in the workshop while the guys worked through the night, because they said, look, you need to get some sleep. If we're going to get this done, you need to get some sleep. So I got 2 or 3 hours. I drive to the track. I had a mini meltdown on the way, just from stress and 28 hours of being awake or whatever it was. Get there. I turn up and I obviously don't realise what I look like. I'm covered in just brake dust and grime and paint and mess. So Bubbles, even Colgate's missus, helped. Right, baby wipes, wipe your face.
I can imagine it.
I was just a mess. It was crazy. Get to briefing, go for a briefing, which was quite interesting. A few points that I didn't realise because you can armchair coach and judge, but when you go through the briefing, you're like, that's the reason why they're doing transitioning there, or Well, you transitioned him into the track. You didn't go to the edge. Was because what the judges asked for.
I think a good thing to point out here is after the briefing was finished for sort of everybody, what's his name, the head judge, stayed behind and did sort of a little one-on-one session. I think there was about 5 of you in the end.
Because a lot of us, there was
a couple of other points on top of what had been outlined in the main briefing.
There was about 4 or 5 of us that were all very low power and newbies. There was a lot of wild cards. And he said, basically, as long as we can see you're not stopping drifting on purpose, you're just out of power and you're flat, we're not that going to deduct you as much as if you're not committed or if you're braking when you don't need to be, etc. Anyway, get through scrutineering. I don't think there was any major thing, just stickers I think was missing. Go out and do 1 practice lap. Felt all right, but the car, it was my first lap off and first time in the car with a full roll cage. So it was a bit different viewing points, etc. It was all right. And then I went to do my second one, do the first part all right. And as I'm coming round Luna top corner, I start hearing the traditional noise, and I had no gear. And then I'm waving out the window frantically to stop the guy behind me ploughing into me. Luckily, he didn't. I managed to get round back into the pits using third because second had gone. And then I just pulled up and went, we're done. Gearbox is done.
At which point, I looked at him and went, we're not.
Yeah. The helmet was already thrown away. I was already getting ready to get changed and go home.
It was some very, very tired Firefly guys who looked at me like I was the biggest knob in the world when I went, we're not, as well.
But it wasn't just that. It was shout out to Nathan. He's been with Firefly quite recently, but as soon as he saw it and he heard that Bam and Matt managed to find a source of gearbox replacement already, even though I said no, he was already running to get his tools. So
yeah,
Nathan, Christian, and Matt.
The conversation was correct because there was another Mark 1. Jojo had her Mark 1 in the pits.
And there was also TVB. So Tom was out. So I as soon as we knew what it was, I sprinted around the corner to Tom, and Tom put me onto the fact that Lindsay's MX-5 had 2 spare gearboxes trackside.
Just as you do. Just 2 of them. They weren't like ratchet stripped away. They were just sitting on the trailer.
But the point is that if we didn't have a spare box not on a car already, we wouldn't have done it because there was no way we had the time to drop 2 boxes and fit 1.
Yeah. So there was this brief moment where Milton's still going, no. And me and Matt looked at each other and went, we're going to go buy some oil. And at that point, everybody, like Nathan had gone to get his tools a second, and me and Matt got in the car.
Jojo had gone to get the box itself as well.
Yeah, me and Jojo carried it back. The 2 smallest people in BDC.
Yeah.
Me and Matt get, the spike is going the fastest to the speed limit it's ever gone through Manchester. And we get to the roundabout, right? And Matt spots that he can run to Halfords quicker than I can get to Halfords. So Matt sprints into Halfords. I've never seen Matt run in my life.
The layout was weird because Halfords was just off the roundabout, but it was like one of these weird long roundabouts. So Bam had to go all the way around to get in. So it's literally like 2 lanes of traffic over. I'll sprint and find the stuff while you're coming round.
So we got lucky. They had what we needed, which was oil.
Why did we come back with like 10 litres of gearbox oil?
Yeah. No, it was 4 litres of gearbox 75, 90.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Yeah, I think it was just enough.
Yeah.
Not volume, but
I know we used all of it.
Yeah.
Just because we were rushing everything.
Yeah, we just grabbed what we could straight back.
We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. We didn't use enough.
No, we used just the right amount to make that gearbox last that event. That's the facts there.
You guys get back.
Yeah.
And as you get back, they've basically already got the box out. and that's a hot box with a hot turbo exhaust manifold on not just a normal pits, it was a gravel pits with a puddle in it.
And I reckon
Yeah,
we were
the
gone,
car wasn't
we were
level
gone
either,
no
like-
more than 30 minutes.
Agreed. They were already just about to get the box out, lifting it out. Then the good thing is the box has been out many times, so all of the bolts and are copper greased and or like good and loose. Or
And some of them might not have even been tight in the first place.
shut up.
At this point, Q1 is rapidly approaching, and I'm turning to Colgate, going, "How soon does he have to be out? What are we doing? Just trying to
'cause
negotiate for little chunks of time because this is getting."
Our pits at Three Sisters was just the other side of the sort of pit lane, I guess it is, where they were staging everybody up in their order. And because Milton's a wild card, he was one of the first. I think you were like 7th or 8th from first. So we're like, yeah, we're not making the first one.
I think we was only about 20 minutes away from missing the first run.
Yeah, we weren't far off. But I think once we realised that we weren't going to make the first one, everyone chilled out a little bit and went, yeah, we can make the second one easy. We've got loads of time. Let's make sure we do this now.
I think the whole gearbox was in about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
2 hours, wasn't it, Matt? You timed it, didn't you? Bang on 2 hours from.
I think it was bang on 2 hours.
From wheels up to wheels down.
So the next time that you're at a mechanic's and they tell you it's going to take all day to do your gearbox, tell them to fuck off.
This was on the floor in the pits with 3 people and a hot gearbox.
Mechanics lazy. That's what we've learned, right? So
qualifying comes around. I've done 1.5 laps of the track in its setup. We done a track day before. How many years ago was it, Matt? When we went?
About 5 or 6. That's the only other time.
I watched the video from it the other day. Actually,
it was one of the first events that you did in the car when it was turboed.
Yeah. A long time ago.
Also, the other thing to bear in mind in here is you've barely driven that car since like April.
Yeah, because it was
driven it all year as well. Because
it had a lot.
Lifeline.
So I'm sitting on right now to qualify. It's a long wait. There was a lot of Q2, a lot of Pro 2 drivers, 63 drives in total.
Jesus.
Yes, that was the most, I think one of the most of ever they've done. So I'm sitting there. I'm also, it's first time using a helmet with Hans. So I'm flapping and trying to get it on. You've got to get it over. And then once you got it on, it's like this. And you're like, I can't see anything. I can't see anything. Exact enactment. Pull up to the line. Colgate calms me down. He's the one that got me into this bloody mess in the first place. And then I don't know what it was. I was really nervous before. I was like shaking and everything. And I get like he talked to me, and then I just revved the car a little bit, and it made its choo-choo noises. And instantly, I forgot about everything. All that pressure had gone, and I just knew I just had to drive. And then I went flat out into the first corner and did the most gangster entry I've ever done at the track. And you know when you get the flick right, and you're like, "Oh shit! Oh no, this is working! Go, go, go!" And I did all right. Hit my marks. Could have done with a little bit more power, but I think I ended up qualifying 22nd out of the 63 drivers.
When he put in the lap, he was 16th in the table. And to say that that's 2 laps, right, going out. At that moment, I'd like to clarify, that was the moment I got drifting. For in my brain, that is the first time it's made sense to me. In ever. So I'm on board, boys. I understand. I get it now. I appreciate
the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
As I get round, the adrenaline rush hit me like a train. I've done competition, do FG, and I still get excited and nervous, and I've done many drift things, but it was just, I think, the culmination of all that time and effort and then the gearbox as well. I was ready to give up. And
so Milton doesn't know this, and I didn't want to tell him on the day because he was a very emotional little panda.
Yes.
But I was sat up on the bank watching that lap, and I turned to Laura and had a little weep because I was that happy for him. Not even going to deny that as a big lad. I did a little cry I was that fucking happy for Milton. I just knew that he'd just gone out and he'd been boy wonder. He crossed that line, and I went, oh, he's done the best he's done on that train. Amazing. To Laura. And you know what? I'm not even ashamed of it. Because boy wonder struck, boy wonder delivered, and top 22 to get out. And then
won my first battle. It was a bit messy on. I think the guy I was following was a bit nervous as well because he went 2 wheels on track, and I basically had to stop drifting almost, which at the most point where you need to build up your speed to make it round. I kept behind him and kept on the judges line, so that's why I didn't get marked down for it because they could see that. Oh, yeah, and then when he was following me, I had to take I'm not sure if he would have hit me, but I had to take evasive action, or he would have ploughed into me. I just looked. I don't know why I looked left, but I did, and I just see him going straight towards me at a point that I shouldn't even have to see him. That's how wrong he was getting it.
Yeah, so at this point, I'd been spotting for the day because the Firefly guys were supposed to be spotting for you, but obviously they were too tired for it. So I'm like, right, I'll do it.
Yeah, they were actually getting some sleep in various vans and cars.
From what I saw, that because I'm obviously trying to make a mental note of what everybody's doing throughout practice and everything while they're changing the box. And from what I saw, he was really, really inconsistent all day. So
yeah, he was a Jay-Z S13.
Yeah, I think he was another wild card, so he was probably a bit nervous and he was really, really inconsistent. So I think because you're so consistent, no matter what you do, you're really consistent. I think that's what put you through there.
Yeah, and then my second battle was against Steve Lynch in a BMW turbo thing. Plenty of power. Cestinos. I changed away from my qualifying tyres into some brand new budgets. Toyos, they were really grippy. And we dropped the tyre pressure, so I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Hindsight. But I went out to chase first and I had loads of grip and I was keeping up, so to speak. But I knew I was going to gap. And then as we was coming round just before Luna, like I didn't hear it, but I suddenly had no power. I was flat out and so I was going around it with 110 horsepower. I'd popped a boost hose, so I called a 5-minute rule. I instantly knew what had happened. Because we built a new tubular front end, everything's moved, everything's been tweaked a little bit, so a couple of brackets probably what we might have found it might have done them up properly, but it went all day, so it must have just a freak. Put that back on, and then I did the best lead I could, and he just had to keep behind me. He didn't have to make any mistakes, and he was getting through, so he did. So, but I made it through to top 16.
I genuinely think even if your boost hose hadn't popped off, you'd have given him a run for the money. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think you were out card there.
100%.
I think a little bit of that is, and I don't know if it was done for drama or what, but there was a brief pause where it looked like the judges were having a little think about whether or not there was going to be another run of that battle, knowing that he'd had a mechanical failure. And that, putting in stellar second run in the battle, like just that's why we sponsor Milton, right? That's why I do what I can to help with the money from the run. There's not been a lot this year, but
that's not we're in it for friendship. And
no, I know that, but you are also Captain Consistency, car friend, special friend,
definitely.
But he is Captain Consistency, and I have to say that because we're going out shopping for some sponsors early next year. So if you listen to this and you want to sponsor that boy there, email info@violentrunning.co.uk with how much money you want to give us. We accept blank checks.
Preferably. No, signature please on it.
yeah. Signed blank checks. That's the way we do things.
To sum up, it was an eye opener because I think I'm pretty quick occasionally and I'm pretty good at tandem, I think, but I was definitely out card there.
That's the problem with entering Pro 2 in an MX-5. You're always going to be outpowered because there's plenty of cars in that with a stock setup that's got more power than you.
Yeah, a lot of Pro 2 cars are based. This isn't taking the miss. basically Pro 1 cars. They've just not got they've not made it into Pro 1 yet.
Yeah, because they build them with the intention of going all the way up to pros. So there's no point in building a Pro 2 car and then a pro car. You just build a pro car.
Yeah.
It would be worth having a go at something like League as well,
Yeah.
because that's one step down in terms of the cars. That's a little bit more accessible, so you might find that will be more enjoyable because the people you'll be against will be closer to the kind of car that you've got. There's still some ridiculous ones, but
like Hayden
always
Cruikshank
is.
in his 1,000 horsepower chaser.
Yeah, because anyone's still allowed to enter. So you do get some people who just go, okay, well, they're going to win, but I'm going to battle these guys instead. Forget about it.
Yeah, no matter what drift competition you enter, there will be somebody there with 1,000 horsepower, ridiculous monster. But there's also going to be people like you that are actually entry level.
Yeah.
So
It was good fun. It was
it's
well
good
run for what it is.
Though.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. If you then want to go around and do a full season of it, you've got your license now.
Yep, I've officially got my Pro 2 license now.
Yeah, and then 2, you've got experience of a weekend, so you know what to expect this time.
And I've got a car that's to spec. That was the problem.
Yeah.
It was always I didn't have a full roll cage and I didn't have the pull thing. The only thing I do need to do is a plumbed-in fire extinguisher, but that's something I can do. It's just the money when I need to. Full roll cage, I can't just put a roll cage in. It's not something.
You could, but it probably wouldn't pass scrutineering.
Yeah.
No, it made out of PVC pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went.
Good.
We did some drifting,
Mm.
and then Milton's.
I would just like to very briefly interject because it's an example of something that doesn't get talked about a lot. Like the guys that helped you when you were ready to give up. Obviously, it's a well-known thing that in all kinds of motorsport, there's a team behind the driver. The driver gets the glory, but the team is there. And I think one thing that people even the drivers don't necessarily realize, everyone who was there that day with you, they're not as invested in it as you are monetarily, and they're not going to win, but they're all there because they really care about you winning. And that's important to have the team like that, because it's that exact moment where you're beaten. Them dudes haven't been driving, and it's not cost them anything. They're still ready to give it. And they're still they will be there and be like, yeah, we're going to go and get another gearbox, because if they have to go home, they've wasted a weekend.
Exactly.
And they want to see you win. So those are the people that you need as well, is that team and you as the driver, you are meant to sit down at that point, because if they get your car back out there, you need to be ready to go. But you have to just accept that those dudes are going to try and get you back out there, and you've got to be ready when that car's ready, because they're going to try as best they possibly can to make everyone's weekend worth it and get you back out again.
Because I forgot to mention, that's what Jojo said to me. After you'd started to do it and the guys were running around like headless chickens, Bam and Matt had gone. It was just Nicole, Laura, and then Jojo came past, and I was crying. I was done. It was I felt so guilty, because these guys have worked throughout the night, done by that point 30-something hours of being awake without sleeping. And not they went to bed at 11 o'clock. It was all night. I woke up, I went to sleep, and they were still in the same positions working on the car. But she's like, this is what Joe said, we wouldn't be here if we didn't want to be. We'll get you out, we'll do the best we can. And I think she said some more, but I can't remember now. But without them guys there, I wouldn't have been able to finish it.
Yeah, because the other thing is we got back and they're ready to put the gearbox in. I was like, okay, let's take you up to the bank so that you can see what everybody else is doing, what lines they're running, and that sort of thing. So
you also distracted me.
Yeah,
I completely.
The other thing. You weren't stood around the car wondering what's going on and all the rest of it. It's like, let's get you refocused on driving.
Yeah.
Checking what other people are doing, what lines they're running, and that sort of thing, so that you can refocus into actually, I need to get into the headspace of driving again.
It's really unusual for me.
Right, because if I hadn't done that, you'd have been like, no, is this gearbox going to work? Is it going to be ready on time? And
what can I do to help and get
exactly.
Because usually, this isn't anyone's fault. I'm usually a one-man band. I'm usually loading up on my own, or because I've got family there doing stuff in the house and doing the kids and all that lot. But when I get to the track, it's just usually me. sometimes my brother there, sometimes I've got a mate, but usually it's me. So everything's always on my shoulders. So having that many people around me was a bit of a shock as well, just to support.
It makes a difference. It does make a big difference to you
World
as a
of
driver, having people taking care of the stuff that you have no business thinking about that weekend because you've got other stuff to do.
Just stupid shit like Bam Matt and the girls organised dinner for the evening. I didn't even think about what I was going to eat in the evening, and cooking it. And I think we got there, and I think I had a shower, and I came down, and then there was dinner ready in like 20 minutes later.
You ate, and then you fell asleep as soon as you'd eaten as well, mate.
I was.
I have evidence of that as well. But like it's even simple stuff like, because obviously Nicole's got bad hips, so she couldn't walk around and do spotting and stuff like I was doing. So it's like every time he comes in, give him a bottle of water.
Yeah, Laura's job. Laura, who is not a car person, and has shadowed me around with my stuff this season, and been really awesome. Just
she was great.
Her whole gig was water and Mars bars for Milton, and that was her job all weekend.
The first thing me and Bam did when we got there, we went up to the bar and it's like, I'm gonna buy all your Mars bars.
Yeah. The greatest emergency chocolate, and I cleared Three Sisters out of them at the beginning of the day because we knew we needed to keep that.
I think you went in and went 8 Mars bars, and he's like, "Well, we've got 9." I was like, "Okay."
So give me a roll. And that's the little things that people don't think of. And then not only content with Boy Wonder putting in an absolutely stonker of a BDC debut, he's then gone back to Formula.
There was another event between then.
Oh, was there? Oh.
Yeah, I did a drift taxi at Jap Show.
Yeah.
And smashed out a PB, did 130 passenger rides.
Yeah.
That works out about 400 laps in one day.
That genuinely shows you how reliable your car is.
Yeah.
And how much
I blew up second gear.
Why did you blow up second gear, Milton?
It may have been in our rushing. We may have forgotten to put one of the where the PPF to the gearbox, and maybe not enough oil. I drained the oil. I've got a 6-speed now, thanks Tim. So
to be fair, all weekend after this 5-speed went, we were pressuring him to fix it fit at 6-speed.
Yeah.
Like, how many gearboxes have you broken now?
That was my 3rd. So it's not too bad.
He's done all right. And then
in chasing reliability, like you need in competition, it's like you need to fit a 6-speed.
And crucially, he's then gone back out to Formula G. Big up Formula G. More people need to be that next year.
It was actually quite busy this weekend. There was a lot of new drivers. It was really good to see.
Awesome. That's good news. I've not made it to any this year, but Milton did us proud again next year. No, I've not been to any this year. I'm coming to next year. We've had a conversation with John already.
The day started off, and I just couldn't figure the track out as usual because I'm rubbish at that. Until it suddenly you do qualifying or a battle and it just clicks and you don't have to think, that's when you're fastest.
Yeah.
But I think we did after qualifying, we did a mini brief, and he said that I was the most inconsistent driver of the day so far.
So obviously Milton takes that as a personal insult, and
then I ended up
comes back.
Yeah, I think who was I against? Mantas. Yeah, I was battle Mantas in the top 4, so who would go in the finals, and he brought his new V8 Mark II V2, absolutely gorgeous build. It looks like OEM plus. It's not podged in. Everything just fits perfectly. And he's on tires that are this wide each, and he's a nuts driver. So I lost to him, but it was close. I made him fight for it, and it was top 4 against Matt Driftsmurf, who did BDC and then decided to give Form G a go this year. He did really well, considering he's a drifter. A lot of drifters really struggle to go to FG because they think, I need to do big skids. But you don't need to do big skids. Got top 3, and then the next day was absolutely goshing. It started raining at 5 a.m. and didn't stop until 1. 3 of the cars and trailers were that much in the water, like they were Like you couldn't see the bottom of the tire; they were that deep. There was a lot of water, and I qualified second to a guy in a stock MX-5 because he had rain sports on.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good day. The course was brilliant. It wasn't really complex or long. That it just flowed and everything just felt right. And it really sort of challenged the driver's guts rather than like car, so to speak. It wasn't a power track, it wasn't a grip. It was, you can go through this a lot faster than you think you can. And you've got to just push the car to your limits. And yeah, I got the win.
Nice.
So, Milton's been out doing us all proud out on the track. I've got some news.
Oh.
The MX-5 runs again.
I mean, it never didn't run.
There was a small point, Matt, where we didn't know if it was going to start again. I think
Schrodinger's MX-5.
Yeah.
I think your problem there was the battery was dead.
The battery was shafted. So, it still needs good service, but it runs. And more importantly, it left the workshop. And it did a drive, and it didn't crash when I pressed the brake pedal at the other end of it.
I'm assuming that you had cleaned off the layer of brown by
Only
that
from the
stage.
glass.
Right, okay.
There is a brilliant video on our TikTok that is just me, like, having warmed it up. And we all know how my MX-5 sounds like it's getting its nuts revved off, whatever you do to it anyway. And it's just me being a happy little child, reversing it out of my workshop. Just fucking... And then I moved it round to the new workshop. Well, not the new workshop, the temporary workshop. My new workshop is being built.
That's cow dust in that one.
There is less cow dust in that one, and the new one will fit 6 cars in it, so stuff's happening.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
Or a Lexus.
No, not a Lexus. I'm not going to reveal what it is, but I have been shopping for Italian things recently.
Insert cars meme of, it's a Ferrari.
It's not. Well, it's interesting you say that, Milt.
Oh, I know what it is now then.
What do you think it is?
Is it
you
Luigi's?
were
Well, interesting
shopping
you
for.
say Ferrari, then presumably it's a Maserati, because that's a Ferrari in a pretty dress.
That is correct. It is a Maserati.
Yeah, I mean, we knew
Ghibli.
you were shopping for one, so...
I know, but they are very pretty. I need a new client sidecar. So yeah, stuff that's gone on this year. Obviously, the stuff we talked about at the top end of the episode. I had to get a new job so that I could get a mortgage on my own. And it pays a shitload of money more than the old one did. So I need a new custom sidecar, and a sensible adult decision is to buy a diesel Maserati, which will never break down on me ever.
So it's not a Ferrari in a dress if it's the diesel one.
That's why I
He's
said
bought a
interesting.
super reliable car.
Yeah. I've
That
not bought it.
famous
I've not.
Ferrari. Imagine if Ferrari did a V12 diesel. I want it.
It actually sounds really nice. And
Time to
drives
I bet
really
if
nice.
anybody is going to not let their diesel model sound like shit, it's going to be Maserati.
It
Let's
does
face it.
not sound like a tractor. It's just a thing. So there's a small list of cars that I don't know why there's this list, but in the comments or somewhere else we'll run a poll of which car I should have for my customer site visit car. We have the diesel Maserati Ghibli, a diesel Chrysler 300C.
Yes, only if it's the estate.
No, murdered out saloon.
300C wagon
If
is
those-
just like...
If those customers don't think that I might off them and put them in the boot after turning up on their site, it hasn't succeeded.
That's why you need the estate, because you can off the whole fucking company.
It has to be on air ride as well.
And then a curveball in the form of an MG4 electric.
No.
No.
I took one out on a test drive, boys.
It It's an
Okay,
MG.
Joe's
It'll
amazing.
last you 5 miles and then need a head gasket, even though
Yeah,
it's an electric car.
I was about to say, Matt, what are you on about? What are you talking about, mate?
Anyway, moving
It's an
swiftly on
MG.
from
It
that
needs a head
bad
gasket
decision.
every 5 miles.
But what we have in there is a questionable reliability decision. Apparently a questionable styling decision on the part of me wanting a saloon.
And not
according
that
to
reliable either.
Ben. And me wanting to be constantly spied on by the Chinese government.
You'd say none of those cars are reliable.
We also have other news. Bryn did a skid day and he enjoyed himself.
Bryn went sliding, yeah.
I did a whole skid day, like the entire thing this time.
Tell me how it went, Bryn.
That car is very fast, but no longer scares me. And we had a fantastic time taking over the track in MX-5s. And I got chased by Milton properly, and it was terrifying. And then I overheated because I was so busy enjoying myself. Bear in mind the first time, because the last time I did a skid day was the shakedown. So I was kind of taking it careful, doing a few laps, seeing what was going on. And this time I did my classic, like so nervous leading up to it, pull up to the line, get really scared. As soon as my foot went this much on the throttle, it went this much on the throttle, and I forgot to look at any gauges for the rest of the session. So like 5 laps solid, Milton behind me, absolutely caning it as best I can. Come off the track, look down, and every gauge is just red, red, red. And I'm just like, ah!
Speaking of cooking engines, Matt's been making mayonnaise since the last episode.
Not the good kinds.
The forbidden mayonnaise. That's what Matt's been making.
Yeah, so I was supposed to make...
Not even the fun
that
kind of forbidden mayonnaise.
I was supposed to make that drift day with everybody after not making the Yakushi show. And as it turns out, the heater hose that I bought on eBay that was for silicone hose for heater, and in the description it's all for engines and everything. And this is like the last piece I need to get the car running. So me being me, did a Bryn and didn't check it properly because you just get excited and just on the way to the MOT pops. Like
I have a thing to
say
say about this.
There's like
Do you not have a water temperature gauge?
Yeah,
By
but
that time,
it
it's too
doesn't.
It wouldn't overheat
get
that
hot.
quickly.
Oh no, the water just goes bye.
The problem that
Milton,
Matt had is that there was no water for the temperature gauge to read. It was all somewhere else.
And wouldn't the
Also-
temperature gauge suddenly just go, zoom?
Yeah,
No,
by that time
no, it did get hot. So what happened was that the hose that runs from the thermostat into the heater matrix popped. That's the one that popped. No, it wasn't that one. It was the one that ran from the matrix into the block. So it comes out of the thermostat around into the matrix, and then the short one was the one that popped. And I'm driving along, and I noticed some, because obviously I'm keeping an eye on everything because this is the first drive on the way to the MOT, and I start seeing steam out the back, and it's like, that's not good. Is that me burning off something I've spilt or whatever? Watching all the gauges like a hawk through. Luckily, I'm going through just a 40 contraflow section, and then I see the temperature gauge creeping up. It's like, nope, we're pulling over, and obviously, yeah, that hose went. So luckily, I managed to bypass the heater matrix and just straight into the block to get it to the MOT. Passes the MOT, get it home. It's like, this is bank holiday Monday at this point, at the end of August. I'm like, I'm going to leave it till the Thursday, because I had the Thursday off before we went to Yakushi, and I'll look at it then. Ordered a new hose in the meantime, replaced it with an actual reinforced hose this time.
Have you checked that hose? Have you done like a squidgy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's proper. You can see all the reinforcement in it this time. Like,
Is
yeah.
it proper Ali G hose, yeah?
So put that in.
Just one last quick check. It's not from China, is it?
Could be.
It's all from China.
China.
This one's got it looks more like proper OEM hose.
Okay.
Oh, good.
So I'd fitted a Stony racing kit to the car, but because it's an RX-8 engine in an MX-5, I couldn't use all of the hoses. I used like 90% of them, but some of them, the one across the top, in an RX-8 goes, it's a short pipe, then a hard line, and then a short pipe again. And there was nowhere to fit that hard line, so I had to replace it with a long one. I was trying to get one that matched it. So replaced it, tried to start it, and it just doesn't start. It's like, that's not good. Pull the plugs, which are wet on the end, and compression test it, and nothing. So me and Hurdy dropped the engine just to see, so we could take it apart. Took the exhaust off, and about a litre of coolant just comes out of the exhaust. I'm like, yep, that's water seals.
So
Brilliant.
that brings us nicely into kind of the getting towards the end of this episode, which is, what are our plans for 2023? I suspect Matt's is rebuilding an engine again.
Oh no, I'm hoping to have that rebuilt before the end of the year.
Okay, all right. So Matt's
To
gonna
actually drift it, actually to drive it next year.
Yeah, it's going to be. I'm hoping to drift it next year, because even if I get it rebuilt before the end of the year, I need to put 2,000 miles on it before I can actually give it some. So that's not going to happen before the end of the year. So hopefully next year I'm going to get in at least a drift day or two.
That's good news.
And then I can start in the FC.
Matt is just going to play with triangles some more, basically.
He's delusional. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, in the meantime, I've serviced my mate's FD. So,
Bryn, what's the 2023 Bryn goal?
Well, having seen Matt have all of these woes with various triangle engines, I got one.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, it's the one that I've got doesn't run.
In a car or
no, just the engine.
Okay.
Just the block.
I didn't pick up because I'm a tiny man. My friend Dan, who is an absolute unit, literally just picked up an entire 13B, put it in my Passat, and then I got it home and had to try and get it out again.
Is this tall, Dan?
It's full size Dan, not fun size Dan. Literally just yeeted it in my car, and I really struggled to get it off. And all my neighbours, like if any of them saw me, I must have looked like an absolute maniac. I was in the back of the car like a monkey trying to rock this engine out onto a crane. So I bought one of them to start a very long-winded project of seeing how you make one of those fit in a Mark 1 MX-5, because everyone says that it's a really big challenge, but nobody can tell me exactly why. So I'm going to find out why before I buy a real one.
Does that mean there's going to be a rear axle divergent RX MX-5 to RX-8 engine gearbox conversion thing?
I am absolutely not going to try and make a kit out of it. I'm going to get it in the car. That's what's going to matter.
That's the goal, right?
But you do power steering and alternator adjustments, right?
Not alternator yet, because Mazda made that really difficult. But yes, I do a power steering adjuster kit. And, Milton, I also do a 6-speed conversion bush so that you can use a short shifter. If you've got an NB box.
There's the plug. Where'd you find it,
Wait, no, there's another plug before that, Milton. Because we are now also available on Spotify. Yeah. First 28, at the point of recording this, the first 28 episodes of what we ever recorded are up. There's about another 28 to go. And as soon as they're up, season 3 will follow. So you get to watch season 3 first on YouTube this year. And then as soon as we're caught up with uploading everything, season 3 will go live on Spotify and on YouTube on the same day. We're also going to put a link in the description, because actually everyone's a bit skint at the moment because it's expensive to live. So just a PayPal link if you want to buy us a beer instead of subscribing. I think in some way, shape or form on something. And if you really want to support us and you want to get things for your money, which is the best way to support us, you can go to violentrunning.co.uk and that'll be where you can buy stickers and merchandise and all that kind of stuff. Or you can go to Bryn. He's forgotten his web domain again, boys.
Bigcartel.com, I think.
Rear axle divergence.bigcartel.com. It is .com at the end of those ones. But there are, if you're on the old YouTuberino, there are links in the description. Yeah. They are in the description on Spotify, but I don't know if the links work. But there you go. So my plans for 2023 are either. And these
you're right, Bryn. I've just typed in.
This is a very, very important either, right? The MX-5 comes back, and I go and play at Formula G with Milton, if that comes back. I think that's a place for that thing to have a play.
So we can have that drag race and you can lose, right?
We could have a drag race down pod any day you want, mate. I'll just
on the Formula G track. Come on, mix. You're
No,
meant to be a
no,
driver.
Tiny little drag race.
Quarter mile, Milton. If you want a drag race, do it properly.
What, so that he can gap you 4 times as much?
Yeah, because I'm going to bring the MX-5 to that race.
What?
I'll bring the weighty boy. Speaking of which, I've started working on the stage here again already.
Good.
I've got my... I'm just in the process in the house of putting in my wall of steering wheels. So I've got some resin-printed NRG 2.5 mounts, and all my steering wheels can clip onto the wall in the house.
So you go house keys, lunch, wallet, steering wheel. I'm gonna go for that one today.
That's the one. That's the one, Milton. Yes.
You have to do the Mad Max lift the wheel to the shrine on your way out, though.
I'll put a little shrine in my house just for you, Brent.
Witness him.
And I think this might be the year that the MX-5, not the MX-5, the Stager gets a proper exhaust. Not
Rather than your one-piece manifold back.
DVSA might be listening.
No, that's all right. They won't do anything to you, Bam. They've already fined me for everything under the sun. Like, they're done for the year.
You can have a one-piece exhaust that still has a cat welded in the middle.
I'm aware that the cat is welded in the middle, Matt. But
yeah.
And it is a bit of a... I'll be honest, when I need to do the gearbox, that exhaust has to come off. Anything to do with the gearbox, that is a bugger. Because it takes 3 people to lift it off the car. Because it's just... It's the length of it. It's nothing to do with the weight. It's really awkward to maneuver.
Isn't it literally like 12 feet long?
It's turbo to tip. That is the length of that exhaust. No, it's not. Sorry, it's downpipe to tip. But it is the entire length of the car from about the middle of the engine bay right to the back bumper.
That's a lot of metal.
It is a long, girthy pipe. And yeah, so MX-5 back, some work on the stage, or get entirely distracted and buy a stupid Italian 4-door car.
Which you will modify.
I will not modify it.
Oh,
Wheels and suspension aren't modification. They're just cosmetic.
My plans for next year is to do a full season of Formula G.
Yes.
Got some big events coming up with that. John's working on I'm aiming to finish the season in a top 3 position. I'm aiming to win it. And I'm not going to set my heights. I'm aiming to podium the top 3 for the whole season. I've got 7 Drift Taxi events lined up.
Yep.
Whatever, and then maybe some more with FG. We're still in the talks with that and MSA and stuff. Maybe Driftland and maybe Anglesey. Not Anglesey. Teesside? Maybe Driftland, maybe Teesside.
Making up for lost seat time from this year.
And on that note, making up for time, I am planning to get out filming again because I have really missed being behind the camera a bit as well. We'll
try some different editing.
Yeah.
And we'll just try see what works.
Yeah, get to be creative again. I've missed that because that's been the biggest thing that I've not had time to do, and one of the reasons we've not been on this, and partly because my head's been tapped. So, episode 1, season 3, maybe the most professional episode we've ever done. I've only had to bleep one thing out, and that was my fault.
Penis.
Still don't have to bleep that.
Yeah.
And there is going to I guarantee there's going to be a bleep in like 5 seconds. Explosion.
You should just bleep
we're just gonna
the entirety of Milton.
Bam. From this point forward, just don't pander to him and just let him look like a fool saying explosion.
That's
with nothing
fine.
happening.
Absolutely, that is the new plan. Season 3. I'm still waking up and choosing violence, and I'm not going to let Milton bully me.
Exactly.
No longer do I pander to other people's demands on my time and ability. If you know, you know. Is all I've got to say on that one. So I want to thank everybody for listening. You can grab some merch at violentRunning.co.uk, or you can grab some awesome parts from Bryn at...
The link is in the description because I can never remember it.
rearaxildivergence.bigcartel.com. There we go.
Yes.
That's the one.
He'll remember by the end of the year. Bryn's looking slightly less redneck, so we'll call him Karen for the rest of the season.
Doesn't mean your wife is safe.
I prefer Leonardo DiCaprio, actually.
Doesn't matter what you identify as, Bryn. You're Karen now.
Karen DiCaprio. There you go.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Floating across the screen right now are some links to some other stuff if you're on YouTube. If you are on Spotify, just give us a follow and then you get to listen to us whenever we put something new up. What else we got? I think that's it. I think we're done. So he's been Milton.
Toodles.
He's been Matt.
Bye.
He's been Brent. That way.
Bye.
That way. I've been Bam. We're back. We will have some sort of schedule for you. We'll tell you about that next time. Have a good whatever day it is, and thank you for listening to us ramble on for the last 56 minutes.
Nice.
Bye-bye!
That was an explosion.
Cut.
Right there.